and today we're going to be making French macarons, peanut butter chocolate French macarons. So what you're going to start with is 150 grams of powdered sugar and 150 grams of almond flour. Now, you want this mixture to be as fine as possible in order to have the macarons to have super smooth tops. So we're going to put all this into the food processor. Then you're going to put the lid back on. Tricky little things. And let it go until it's very fine. Alright, now we're going to check it. It's looking pretty good. So we're going to just scrape it down a little bit to make sure that it's all getting mixed together and ground up. And one more. Alright, that's probably pretty good. You don't want to blitz it too much, because if you do, then the oil that's in the almond will come out and turn the whole thing into a paste, which is not what we want. So now we're taking a fine mesh sieve, we're going to put it over the bowl, and we're going to dump in the almond flour and powdered sugar, just to make sure that there are absolutely no lumps in it. Alright, so now you can just give it a little shake. A little tap. Try to get it all out. Fun fact about French macarons. They're called French macarons, but they are actually an Italian cookie. Italy is where they were first started. Got almost all the bits. You can use your spatula to kind of push the rest through, just to make sure you have all the ingredients. Alright, now you can set that stuff aside. Now what we're going to do is take some egg whites. It's important that there aren't any yolks, because if there is, then they'll change all the mixture and the recipe won't work out correctly. So we have 55 grams of egg whites here in this bowl, and we're going to add it to the almond flour and powdered sugar. And now I'm just going to mix it with the spatula until it forms into like a thick paste, sort of. And that's going to be the base for the cookie. So you just keep mixing it. It's going to seem like there isn't enough liquid, but the more that you work into it, the better it's going to become. So you can just keep pushing the flour and sugar into the egg white, and the egg white will absorb the sugar and the flour. Alright, so now we're going to cover this in some plastic wrap, put it in the fridge, and continue on to the next step. So here in a pot, we have 75 grams of water and 150 grams of sugar. So what we want to do is put that on medium-high heat until it comes to a boil. Then you want to reduce it down to a simmer and let it cook till it reaches 115. It's almost at that point now, so we're going to start whipping the egg whites. Once it reaches 118, slowly I'm going to dump the sugar into the egg whites, which is going to cook them and stabilize them. Okay. We've been beating these eggs for 6 minutes, so now they're nice and fluffy and white. And here's a little trick. I can tip the bowl over my head and they won't fall out. See? So now what we're going to do is called macaronage. So we have this mixture here that we made before. So we're just going to take about half of the fluffed up egg whites and put them into that mixture. So what that's going to do, it's going to aerate the mixture that we already had, and it's going to start incorporating the egg whites before we add all of it in, because we don't want to completely deflate all the air that's already been being into the meringue. So you just start mixing like that, pushing it down. You go around the bowl and then through the middle. And that allows it to incorporate while also pushing out a bit of the air, but not all of it. So you just keep doing that with this half until it gets pretty well incorporated. So that's pretty good. You can wipe off the spatula and then come back to the rest of the meringue and put all that in here. It looks like a lot, but it'll all go in very nicely. Keep scraping the bowl. Now you can wipe it on the side and then start folding it in. So you can see it's starting to go a lot lighter in color because of all the eggs. And it's also starting to become more fluid than the dough that we had originally. So the way that you know if your macaronage is finished is you lift up the spatula, and when the dough falls off, if you can get it to go into the shape of a figure 8 without breaking, then you know that it's done. But we're not at that stage yet, so you just keep around the bowl, through the middle, around the bowl, through the middle, until you can hold it up and it drifts off nicely. So we'll keep going. Depending on how stiff your eggs were, or how cold the stuff is, then it might take longer or less time to be able to make the figure 8. So we're almost there. Macarons are a very finicky sandwich cookie, and they've been given the name the world's most impossible cookie because the ingredients are fairly simple, but there are a lot of things that can go wrong, and sometimes it seems like it didn't work for no apparent reason. Something just went wrong and no one really knows why. So every step is very important, and you have to make sure that you didn't mix it too much, you mixed it just enough to make sure that you get the exact amount of stuff. That's why we weigh it instead of using measuring spoons. All right, there you can see the 8 right there. That means that our macaronage is done. The next step is piping your macarons. So here I have a piping bag, and I put it over a mason jar to make it easier to dump the batter into. So you want to have a fairly small round tip so that when you pipe the macarons, they're going to come out in nice circles. So what we're going to do is take the batter and then put it into the piping bag. And the goal is to get it inside and not on the outsides. So you'll just keep doing that until you have all the batter in. You might not be able to fit all the batter into one piping bag, but you can repeat this afterwards once you've used up all the stuff that you got to fit. The proper way to hold a piping bag is to take it and twist the ends. And then you're going to put it in between your thumb and your pointer finger, grip it, and then you squeeze from this hand. You don't squeeze here. This hand is just used to direct it. So, to pipe your macaron, you're going to go at a bit of an angle and pipe some batter. Then you're going to swipe around. That will give it the flat top at the end. So you just go like so. And you want them to be about the same size because you're going to be stacking them to make little sandwich cookies. This recipe makes about 15 macarons, so it's going to make about 30 cookies, individual cookies. So once you've piped a few, you're going to take these peanuts, I have some crushed peanuts here, and you're going to just give a little sprinkling over the tops of the macaron. That's going to give the peanut taste to the macaron shell, along with the peanut butter and chocolate that we're going to put inside. You don't want to have too much because the macarons do need to be fairly light in order to rise. Next, you're going to tap the macarons on the counter to release any air bubbles. Now you let the macarons rest for 30 minutes to an hour until you can brush your hand over them and none will stick.